What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Got some really fun duels for you guys to check out. This first duel is going to show you some pure Trickstar action. None of that shenanigans with Droll Lockbird or any of that nonsense. This is a build that is just pretty much as pure as it gets. It's almost like Aoi is actually piloting this deck. That's a reference to Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns. If you guys have never seen that show, you're definitely messing up. He's dueling against Sky Striker gadgets, although I think the Sky Striker are just kind of an engine in here, so I don't want to make it out to be like he's really running a whole bunch of Sky Striker cards. And you know, Trickstars, they can do a lot of work. Carabane is now in the TCG, so the timing of this could not be better, and you're going to see what Trickstars can do pretty much just using the N archetype cards. He will be using some of the new stuff from Savage Strike, as you see Carabane in his hand. So let's see what he's going to do. I think he's probably going to search out for Candina, summons it, Ghost Ogre tries to basically stop it. That's not going to work. By the way, if you guys ever wonder why Ghost Ogre is not really seeing play anymore, it's because of stuff like this. I just feel like I feel like Ghost Ogre is just not reliable at taking out monsters anymore. Your opponent can either dodge, as he's going to do here, or like the Sky Striker cards just float, and I don't know, man. There's too many cards that just get around Ghost Ogre. I feel like you can still use it against spells and traps, but really not against monsters. If he would have had an Ash Blossom, he'd have been perfectly fine. His opponent wouldn't have gotten that plus there. He is going to summon Carabane and then just kind of pass, doing some burn damage during the draw phase. Let's see what he's going to do. Alright, so gold gadget, silver gadget, goes straight for Exodia Knight, not bad, and then activates the Mobilize Engage. I'm seeing more and more Exodia Knights. I don't know if these people just, maybe it's because the card is now unlimited, and what a remarkable turnaround that was. Exodia Knight spends almost 2 years, or 2 years or more, banned, and now the card's at 3. Activates the Trickstar Live Stage, which is another new card, and anytime that you see Chain Summoning used in Trickstars, you know shit is going to get real, because Chain Summoning gives you 3 normal summons, and obviously Candina ain't a hard once per turn. So basically you can get as many resources as you want, as long as you can just keep getting to those Lycorises and bouncing it to your hand. You can just constantly summon her. So I think that's the 3rd normal summon of her. Now you're basically just going to see, I believe, like every single Trickstar Link monster ever created in this turn. He has the copy of Bloom, and then he's going to go for Holly Angel. He also is going to summon another copy of Bloom, forcing his opponent to draw cards, taking burn damage for the Lycoris, and it doesn't seem like he can quite get there, but believe me, you can get there with the burn damage. He has Cap back, and he keeps on triggering the Holly Angel effect. Keep in mind, she's going to progressively get stronger and deal burn damage. He's going to summon Bloody Mary as well. Then he's going to go for some of the Link 3s. Foxy Witch, fair enough, not done, not done. He is going to continue Link summoning. And you would think that he would run out of resources, but Bella Madonna, Flames of Destruction, is actually going to come down. Now she is sitting at 3,000, and he's doing massive burn damage with Bella Madonna. He's not done yet. He's actually going to go for, I can't pronounce this one's name. I think she's in Flames of Destruction too, but it doesn't matter because the Holly Angel eventually got to 5,200 attack, and he was able to just end the duel with a couple of attacks. Actually, well, I mean, I guess he didn't get to the ones in like Soul Fusion because he didn't summon well, that's a fusion Trickstar monster, but he summoned just about every Trickstar Link monster that is kind of relevant, although there is a new one in Savage Strike that I don't believe ever actually hit the field, but there was enough of them to keep me entertained anyways. Second duel is actually going to be Exodia, and this is against Necroz. Necroz got a significant boost on the ban list, but these cards, or this is Necroz previously to the ban list, so there isn't going to be any short or anything like that. Now, this is actually a really bad matchup for him. He's playing Exodia, and it's an interesting build of Exodia. He's playing things like Sears Passbook, which I guess it's Ledger of the Ledger main. What are these TCG names? He's playing this. He's also playing a whole bunch of other draw cards. It's kind of a deck where he can kind of like slow the pace down, and he's trying to draw Exodia. Now, the thing about Obliterate is this actually just destroys ritual decks because it's a built-in evac device, and ritual decks spend so much energy trying to summon basically one monster that there is no, like, they can't easily recover. It's not like they can just normal summon monsters and use that kind of as beatdown. So he is taking, well, no, he's not even going to take any attacks. What he's going to do, his opponent tried to Ash the Obliterate. Unfortunately, he ends up chaining the Metaverse, and then he uses the Accumulated Fortune. And this was the interesting thing, right? So he activates the Spell Mining Cave, which obviously just is like a pause button on the entire duel. Doesn't let your opponent do anything as long as they have more monsters than you. But he used Called by the Grave on one of the Exodia pieces. I was like, oh shit! I guess he lost his win condition. There's no way he can actually get Exodia now. But let's see if he can actually find a way, because I thought when he used Called by the Grave, I was like, well, guess he's not going to do anything else. By the way, this is extremely dumb. I see so many people panic when Spell Mining Cave is on the field. If you have one monster and you can't out it, don't summon more monsters, stupid. Just sit on your one monster, because your opponent is basically just going to, your opponent's not going to do anything. So there's no reason for you to continually put more resources. Look how many cards this guy has in his hand. Now the thing is, he does play Burial from a different dimension, guys. So the win con is back on. He can actually get back to Exodia. Not that big of a deal. He says, Cap G, I got the, what's it called? No, it is a big deal. He activates Call by the Grave and banishes it again. The win con is officially dead. Although, can he actually win with Exodia Beatdown? He gets rid of the Spell Mining Cave for the Lair of Darkness, but that allows his opponent to actually start playing again. Although he still has that Obliterates. Maybe if he could have dropped Trishula here, he could have been in decent position, because he could have actually maybe banished the Obliterates, and maybe that would have done something. But he's just going to continually bounce his monsters, or at least once a turn. He has the Scapegoat to stall out just in case his opponent does get even close to his life points. Scapegoat will hold him for at least a few turns, maybe at least a couple of turns or so. And let's see where he's going to go with this. Gonna tribute that Unicorn off the field to go ahead and get himself another card. He might even just, well, it looks like he's just going to bounce with Obliterates. And I would say that, he still can't get to Exodia unless he has another copy of Burial. He's also getting a little low on resources in his deck, only having 7 cards, because every time you use Obliterate, you do have to send an Exodia piece from your deck to the graveyard. But now, since he has an open field, he's like, yo, Cap, I'm just going to go Exodia Beatdown. I'm going to summon, is this the right arm? I'm gonna smack a bitch up with the right arm of Exodia, and now he's actually going Exodia Beatdown. He is interrupted by the Valkyrie, so the hype is dead. But can he actually win with Exodia Beatdown? Maybe he should have activated. Nah, Spell Mining K wouldn't have done anything. He has way too many monsters at this point. His opponent is trying to get those monsters off, but unfortunately, again, they are ritual monsters. I think he might have, no, okay, I thought he was out for Obliterate. I thought he was actually out of Exodia pieces, and I thought he wasn't going to be able to resolve it, but no, looks like he can resolve it a couple more times, and he gets a 3,000 attack Exodia through. He has Surya's Skull Dread, and he has another Exodia, which is the Exodius Ultimate Forbidden One. I think this guy was sitting at, it was sitting at 2,000, but then it got the extra 300 attack, so he's able to end up winning the duel. He calls this the Exodia Plan B, because basically you have to have some type of other win condition if your Exodia pieces get banished. You wouldn't think that it would happen all that often, but I guess this weird kind of Exodia deck has a couple of backup. You know what? I actually do want to see what the Exodia deck looks like on paper, so let's check that out really quickly. Okay, so this is what the deck looks like on paper. Don't be surprised if you see chain burn decks that actually look very similar to this, essentially running 3 copies of Spell Mining Cave and then running a whole bunch of other draw cards. Now, there were 2 Scapegoats in his deck, so I did have to take one out. The ban list hasn't updated at the time that I'm making this video on YGO Pro. I'm pretty sure if I would have shot this video on Monday instead of Saturday, then it just would have been updated. But I did actually go ahead and just add in another copy of Reckless Greed. You can feel free, if you don't want to run Reckless Greed, you can put in another copy of something like Legacy of Yada. But yeah, this engine could kind of work for not just Exodia, but it can also work for, I don't know, something like Chain Burn. Keep in mind that if you do have the Spell Mining Cave up, when you activate all of these draw cards like Pot of Extravagance and Reckless Greed, Accumulated Fortune, Jar of Greed, etc., Pot of Desires, your opponent cannot Ash Blossom these cards. They cannot hit you with Droll or Lockbird. They cannot activate monster effects anywhere. This is why this card is so ridiculously powerful, and why I believe that because of cards like Magical Midfield Breaker, Konami is showing that these these just incredibly powerful field spells, like they're willing to hit them whether or not they're part of an archetype. I feel like this card's going to end up getting hit because it slows the game down so insanely much. But the fact that, yeah, you can even run this and Exodia. Now, honestly, if you wanted to cut, kind of like all the filler, you wouldn't even need to run all of the other Exodia stuff like the new Exodia guy or, Exodius or Obliterate or anything like that. You could honestly just cut all of this out and probably just play more draw cards. Like what you would do is you would just max like Pot of Indulgence. Obviously, you never want to play Demise, Pot of Desires, because you'd end up banishing all of your Exodia pieces. But yeah, you would just up something like Extravagance up. You would maximize Legacy of Yada. You would maximize Jar of Greed, maximize Reckless Greed, and then probably play just, is there an Upstart in here that I see? Yeah, you probably just have like Upstart, and basically every generic draw card that you could find, you would just basically play in this deck, and maybe a couple of monsters like Lilith would be maybe like the only monster that I would consider playing like in Exodia right now. But this could actually be, I don't know, it could be roguish maybe at best, but we'll have to see when Spell Mining Cave comes out. I think that, the Chain Burn variants will be 100% viable, at least on the regional level.